Welcome to the program. Now, governors of South states have met in Benin, the Edo State capital, where they deliberated and resolved to work for the rapid economic development of the zone. The governors met under the aegis of Governors of Braced Commission. Braced is an acronym for Bayelsa Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Cross Rivers, Edo, and Delta, the 6 states that make up the South-South geopolitical zone in Nigeria. Addressing journalists after the meeting, the governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, disclosed that he had been elected as chairman of the commission. Among other resolutions, the governors agreed to work together and support each other to improve the well-being and welfare of the people of the South-South region. Well, the Director General of the Braced Commission, Ambassador Keshi, joins me now in the studio for more. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for joining us.
Thank you, and Happy New Year.
Yeah, same to you. Let's talk about this commission and how it's started previously, but died down a bit. But with this new set of governors, we are seeing it being revived. And then, of course, there's a new charter, a new thinking on how to rework the Niger Delta and ensure that the South-South continues to be one of the leading geopolitical zones in the country.
Yes, thank you. You recall that it was in 2009 that the private sector, people of the private sector of the South-South extraction, led by the like of Patu Tomi and Tedo Peterside and company, including Obaseki himself, organized a summit with the governors of the South-South under the leadership of Louis Moki in Calabar. That gave birth to the braced concept. And in 2010, the commission itself was established. I was actually visiting there when I got a phone call to come and drive the process. And so that was how it started. Its objectives are very clear, straightforward. We want to achieve regional economic cooperation as a way of building or putting in place a regional economy large enough to create employment and prosperity. But essentially, we also want to create a zone of economic development that ensures that the South-South region, it's globally competitive. When you have a country like Nigeria that has some characteristics like the United States. Look, if California, it's a different country, it would be the 8th largest economy in the world.
Yeah.
And so there's no reason why parts of Nigeria cannot achieve the same feat like California and other places in the United States. Because every region in this country has the resources, maybe not the capacity, but has the resources, to do that. If the right leadership is put in place, I think this would certainly happen. So this is what we are trying to create. We've had ups and downs. But the enthusiasm and the desire of the current set of governors gives me some renewed hope. By the way, that's my renewed hope is different from the federal government renewed hope.
I wanted to say
yes.
that you were sounding very political.
There's some amount of considerable seriousness.
Okay.
And I think that under the leadership of Governor Obaseki, who's been trying to get this going and succeeded in getting it going. Look, for a long time, this is the first time we probably have all the governors come together.
Yeah.
These are governors that are relatively new. They're enthusiastic. They are determined. And I must say this. We sent out the documents for the meeting a couple of weeks. And what I found very interesting that when they came to the meeting, there was clear indication that these governors have read the documents. They were speaking from and speaking to the documents and the things that needs to be done.
All right.
So that's something to be hopeful about.
All right. Well, I just want us to listen to what Governor Obaseki, the chairman of the Braced Commission, had to say. Let's just listen to him.
The various contributions from members, the council members spoke of the compelling need to collectively accelerate the development of the states and affirm their support for the imperatives of the South-South economic cooperation and integration as a practical step towards the creating the creation of a zone of economic development. Arising from these, we expressed our determination and commitment to drive the process for cooperation and integration in the zone and pledged to address the challenges faced by the BRACED.
Chairman of the BRACED Commission there and Governor of Edo State, Governor Godwin Obaseki. Now, talk to me about how this organization is different in terms of objectives from the Niger Delta Development Commission, the South-South Governors Forum, and then, of course, the federal government's attempt to redevelop the region by creating a Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs.
Let me start with the last one. I'm not too sure that, with the benefit of hindsight, and I know this will probably go down well in the region, I'm not too sure that the creation of the Niger Delta Ministry and the creation of NDDC has been of any use to the region.
Well, you're sounding very controversial there.
No, I'm not sounding controversial. I'm being serious.
These are two organs of government that are being funded over the years.
I'm telling you that how long have they been in place? And just give me one single achievement in spite of the resources poured into those two, the ministry and the NDDC. I do not want to come in here and begin to tell you what I know and what people who work in NDDC say about NDDC itself. So let's just leave that aside. The second question you asked about the federal government, look, I could, if I want to be just modest, describe myself because of my own background and trajectory. I could actually describe myself as a federalist, given the fact that I was born in the north, Zaria. My parents moved to Lagos and I started school and grew up in Ibadan and Lagos, and that has been, my life. But I came to realize when I started going back and forth the region, the complete dichotomy between the federal government and the states. And today I will tell you that if yesterday I do not buy the idea of more powers for the regions, today I think that we need to devolve more powers, more responsibilities, more resources to the states and allow the states run things. As I've always said,
the same states that are unable to pay salaries, and the allegations of mismanagement of the resources that they currently have.
Yes, the federal government is worse when you talk of mismanagement of resources. I'm sure you've been following, you guys are familiar with this, about the range of, corruption stories at the federal level all over. Now, if you look at I've always said this, that look, what we do not realize, and it took me time to actually realize that, is that if the states do not work, the federation will not work. If the local governments do not work, the states will not work. Whether we like it or not, that is the honest truth. So the sooner we all realize that, look, I give you an example. We spend so much money at the federal level on agriculture, for example. Go and look at the budget of the Ministry of Agriculture and tell me what has been achieved. The federal government doesn't have any land to do agriculture. Give the money to the states and come up with a national plan of what you want to do in terms of agriculture and compel the states to get it done, and it will do it.
Yeah, especially in
they will do it now.
The areas of strength.
So there are certain things that the federal government should hands off and allow the states to do it. Bear in mind that between 1960 and 1966, this was what operated in this country, and this country grew in terms of development. There was competition between the East, the West, and the North, and things were moving to the extent that around the 60s, our GDP was higher than that of China. Today, look at where China is and look at where we are. There is no synergy in anything between the federal government and the states. So we must figure out how to address these issues. As it is today, whether at the federal level or at the state level, a whole lot of resources are being wasted that should have been poured into development. So we must find a way. And I'm just saying that let the federal government set up a criteria to say, okay, we give, by the way, let me remind you, I'm not too sure, and I stand to be corrected, if the United States has a Department for Agriculture. It is, I think, embedded within the Department of Commerce, Industry, and things like
I've read
that.
of USDA.
Yes, exactly. It's different from having a whole gigantic Ministry of Agriculture. A couple of years ago, what they were doing was fertilizers and the rest of it. And this is why nobody is seriously dealing with that issue. But today, a couple of these states are doing well in terms, well, not doing well because they just started focusing on issues like agriculture, but they need more resources to get this done.
All right, so the issues of regional development is very important, and the Niger Delta is Nigeria's honeypot in terms of oil and gas resources, in terms of mangrove swamps and all of that. And then you also touched about the issues of climate change, how it's affecting the region. Talk to us, how committed are these governors to actually tackle the issues of environmental challenges that are facing the region, and not just looking at the federal government alone?
Let's be fair to this new set of governors. They are just less than, how many months? They are not even up to a year in office. So they are, they are assimilating and, looking at so many things that they need to do. But what came out clearly for me at this meeting is that they are beginning to have a clear understanding of the challenges of the region. And one of the issues that they discussed was, look, how to help one another in terms of the fact that if you are already doing something and we need to do something similar, we don't have to invent the wheel. We could as well just look at what you are doing. As long as it's working in your state, we could as well
just like a peer review mechanism.
Peer review and simply replicate it in a different region. I have some confidence that with the drive of the current governor and the commitment of this set of governors. Again, let me be careful here to say this. It was not as if the first set of governors, the second set of governors, and the third didn't have the same commitment. But the nature of Nigerian politics simply destroys everything. And that was what happened in 2011. And when efforts were made to revive the Brace Commission in 2020, by Governor Kowa and that set, including Wike, by the way. Less than 2 years after presidential election of 2023, they fell apart and went into war.
And they couldn't sit down on the same table any longer.
They couldn't sit down. We had a chairman who for 4 years refused to call a meeting because he did not want to sit down in a small meeting with one governor.
So that disarmed the secretariat?
So that's completely, not disarmed, that's being charitable. Killed the secretariat. So we're just trying to revive things. But look, in that region, there's a lot to be done, quite frankly. People stay far away and have no understanding of the depth of the crisis in the Niger Delta.
All right.
It is serious.
As we try to round off this conversation, let's talk about having a regional master plan for the Niger Delta and what the Brace Commission could do to enhance competitiveness. I mean, you had mentioned what used to happen in the First Republic. How can we have Braced actually bring out a regional master plan that could compete with that of, for example, the Dawn Commission in the Southwest, which is the development agenda for Western Nigeria? And then, of course, there used to be the NDDC, Northern Nigeria Development Commission in the North. How do we ensure that these regional bodies improve on economic competitiveness?
We are going to work on something that we had worked on before. We were actually working on what we call an indicative plan for the region that simply could have lasted something like 25 to 30 years, and we were to address very simple questions. Where are we today? Where do we want to be tomorrow, and how do we get there? Unfortunately, as I said, the crisis. So we have some of this, in the pipeline that we need to to work on. But the most important thing for me right now is that there's a new enthusiasm, there's a new desire among the set of governors. If they can really work together seriously for look, they've agreed, for example, that they are going to try and meet every other month. Yeah. And if they do this to address some of these other issues, I think it will be very helpful.
Yeah, I think the next one is in the Bayelsa.
And one of those issues they really need to do is to impress upon the federal government. They need to pay attention to the region. For the past 20 years or more, they have allowed the seaports in that region to just lay idle. Meanwhile, Lagos is congested. I think we should begin to see the whole country as one country.
Yeah, but how about Warri Port, which we've been told by the MP that it's being revived, and then, of course...
After many years, there's Port Harcourt, there's Calabar Port. The government of Akwa Ibom has been seeking help, to get all the necessary permits to be able to build a deep sea port that was conceptualized under the current Governor Akpabio.
Ibom Deep Sea Port.
Ibom Deep Sea. They are still on it. Meanwhile, the Lekki Seaport has took less than 5 years. They got everything they wanted. So
well, is it less than 5 years? Because I remember the president now, when he was a governor, actually used...
more than I'm talking of the planning and everything. The point is that, look, we need to have a broad mind about this country, all of us, and see that when things run properly around the country, it will benefit everybody, not just one side.
Yeah, and considering that, Niger Delta is the oil-rich region where majority of our resources are coming from. People have also accused some of these governors of mishandling funds that are being given to them. The 13% derivation that has been given to them. Many of these governors cannot really account for these funds. And even people from the South go on media, social media, they keep talking.
I agree with you, and I'm not going to contest that, but it's a national malaise. It's not only the South. I remember the first time I had to go to NDDC. We almost got a police team to see me through because of the crowd. And when I found out what was going on, they were there to collect handouts. And I remember saying to the then MD, no, you were not created to give out handouts. You were created to fashion out and implement a development plan that would give employment to all these people outside. All these handouts. Now replace those handouts with palliatives, which is what we are doing today in this country. Everywhere you go to, you see members of the National Assembly, everybody doing palliatives. Who exactly, go and ask those people a year after they've received a sewing machine and grinding machine, which is very popular, what they have earned. What has it improved their lives? No, the answer is no. So, look, we need to be very serious when it comes to developmental issues.
Yeah, that's why some people have referred to our economy now as sachet-based economy, because we use this palliative sort of thinking to run our country now.
It's another form of corruption in this country. We should stop it. Even the rice we share during Christmas and Muslim festival, they are all part of the corrupt system in this country. And the sooner we let it go and focus on doing real things that would, recreate, produce industries, produce jobs for the people, and create prosperity.
All right, I'm very sure you would have heard of all that's been going on with the social investment program too, and the Nigerian government in its desire to actually promote inclusivity with the poor. It's ended, in corruption.
In the hands of the rich.
Well, that's the sort of problem that we have. But quickly, before I let you go, you're talking about having a braced business council put together, and then how to enhance regional cooperation with other parts of the country. How far can Braced actually go in this regard, especially in terms of attracting foreign direct investment and then ensuring that when people bring investments, they're also not kidnapped in the region?
No, the kidnapping will happen. Look, one of the mistakes I think that was made as a result of poor relationship between governors and the political upheaval in the region at one point. The brace was the idea of the private sector.
Okay.
And when it got going, the governor simply ignored the private sector. As I said, it was people of the South-South extraction in the private, particularly in Lagos, that came up with the whole idea and got the governors to buy in, and they held this conference in the first South-South Economic Summit in Calabar. I still believe that we need them to be involved, at this point in time.
All right.
To do 2 or 3 things. Help to shape the business climate and encourage them to invest. Because you see, when they begin to invest, it gives others the confidence to also come in and begin to invest in the region, rather than just putting the investment out of, there's a lot of areas that they can invest in the region.
All right, sir. We must thank you so much. Ambassador Joe Keshi is the chairman of the Braced Commission. The Director General of the Braced Commission, while Governor Godwin Obaseki is the chairman of the Braced Commission. We must thank you immensely for helping us. And I'm really, happy about this sort of conversation because, once we have that regional competition, Nigeria will continue to go instead of politics almost every now and then.